Welcome to the official preview of the 2020 ELA curriculum guides. My name is Barbara Truitt. I'm one of the literacy specialists on the elementary academics team. I'm honored to be the project lead for the 2020 ELA curriculum guides. I'll be working with a team of writers from all across the district this summer to create the best possible guides to support teachers implementing the ELA education curriculum. Today, you will see a sneak peek at the second grade curriculum guide draft. The goal of the curriculum guides is to provide help in 4 key areas. First, we want to provide grading guidance aligned to the CMS standards-based report card. Second, to provide lesson pacing and planning support. Third, to offer digital text sets. And finally, to give teachers lots of resources for student supports. Remember, this is a draft. This draft represents our current best thinking. There will be changes and adjustments made along the way. The first part of the curriculum guide will be the year at a glance. These year-at-a-glance documents have been revised slightly based on feedback from this current year. The year-at-a-glance is designed to give PLCs an overview of the year, each quarter, and each unit. Dates and timelines are suggestions, not requirements. This specific example has been updated to align with the adjustments in the 2020 academic calendar that was just approved by the Board of Education. Now, let's focus on the overview section of the year at a glance. You'll see in this overview section of the year at a glance that the module overview has suggested pacing and the performance task standards. The colors used in each unit pacing suggestion are also used on the calendar, so you can easily see how much time is spent on each unit and on the flex days. If you look at the number 2 section, you will find the central text for the module, while the section numbered 3 on the screen shows you the skills block overview and the spelling patterns for the cycles taught in Module 1. Now we will look more closely at the bottom section of the year at a glance. The first box provides an overview of the Module 1 labs. The second box gives you a reminder of the school calendar dates for planning purposes. The most important part of the YAG might be the calendar. As I mentioned before, the calendar is color-coded to match the unit overview, showing how much time is recommended to spend on each unit. You'll see next to the number 1 that unit assessment suggested dates are included in bold. Next to the number 2, you'll see a clipboard icon indicating the start of skills benchmark assessments. The number 3 shows you where you will find notes about labs and skills block. Hopefully the new and improved year at a glance will help support the planning at your school. Now we are going to jump right into the Module 1 curriculum guide. As you can see, the sections of the guide are aligned to the goals of the document, including grading guidance, lesson pacing and planning support, providing additional aligned text sets, and providing resources to support all learners. We are going to first zoom in on my favorite section, the grading guidance. This section will help you and your PLC better understand how to assess and track student work towards mastery. This section of the curriculum guide will link to specific grading suggestions for the module, customized checklists and rubrics, and a data tracker aligned to the K2 report card. This is an example of a CMS-aligned checklist. The assessment itself hasn't been changed, but the ELA Education Reading for Literature checklist has been updated to include the North Carolina standards and the rating clarification for each level of mastery. Here is an example of a CMS-aligned end-of-unit rubric. Again, the task itself hasn't been changed, but the ELA Education Informative Writing rubric has been updated to include the North Carolina standards, and it is written in student-friendly I can statements. The data collected from this assessment rubric will translate directly into the new data trackers. You will have the option to use these new customized data trackers. They are aligned to the standard course of study and to the K2 standards-based report card. This example shows the section for Module 1, Reading for Literature. The tasks from Module 1 that address these standards are pre-filled into the columns for you, while also leaving room for you to add additional tasks. If all of those assessment resources weren't exciting enough, there's more. Next, we'll look at pacing suggestions. One of the resources included for pacing support are the new lesson pacing and focus standard cards. These are quick reference cards that will allow you to see how much time is suggested and which LearnZillion slides to use for each component of the module lesson. It also provides the focus standards with the learning targets. Next, we have aligned text. Here, you will be able to see a variety of digital text resources that align to the module topics. These texts can be used for accountable independent reading time, to scaffold background knowledge of the topic, or in any way that supports student learning. The last part of the module guide is student supports. This section will connect you to resources from both the TD and ELA services departments. It will also include a bank of vocabulary and picture supports. Here's an example of a Shades of Meaning vocabulary support. This is an example of some of the picture supports that you will find to enhance your lessons. Now, let's take a look at the Module 1 guide for Foundational Skills Block. The Skills Block guide follows the same 4 goals from the module block: grading guidance, pacing support, text suggestions, and supports for all learners. First, let's take a look at grading guidance. Like its module counterpart, this section gives guidance on how to assess and record student progress. Grading guidance will be provided on how the microphases correlate to mastery of the reading foundation standards. Cycle assessments will have grading support that aligns to the specific standards being addressed. Of course, we must have a color-coded tracker. This Reading Foundations tracker is an example very similar to the one that we saw previously on Reading for Literature. Again, the standards are aligned to the standard course of study, and tasks have been pre-filled into the columns. Next, we have lesson pacing, which will link to unpacking documents, lesson pacing cards, and the Cycle at a Glance documents that many of you utilized this past year. In the decodable text section, you'll find links to the decodables in a variety of fun formats. In this example, the decodable and cycle word lists are put into a foldable booklet that students can use in both small group instruction and independent rotations. These foldables can be printed directly from the curriculum guide link. The skills block guide finishes with student supports. Again, this will take you to a variety of resources from our ELA services and talent development departments. Of course, we can't forget labs. The labs guide includes an overview of the module with the recommended text list for story time. There is also a page for each lab of the module. Here is the example for the Module 1 Research Lab. These lab cards can be printed and laminated to be kept at each lab station or in your bin of materials. That was a very in-depth tour of the second grade curriculum guide draft. The kindergarten and first grade curriculum guides will look very similar, as will the third through fifth grade guides. The third through fifth grade guides will have the same 4 components, with some minor differences. They will have grading guidance aligned to the third through fifth grade report card for modules and all block. In addition, the assessments will be put into SchoolNet, and the SchoolNet codes will be included in the curriculum guides. There will be lesson pacing and planning support, digital text sets for accountable independent reading, and student supports for all learners. This slide shows you the timeline for publication of the curriculum guides. Although we had a late start due to the COVID-19 crisis, the curriculum guide writing team has been selected and is ready to start working on these fabulous resources. The final versions will be published the week of August 3rd. Before I close out this session, I want to share with you some of the recommendations we've received in our partnership with ELA Education. The ELA Education leaders are supporting their districts by giving guidance around how to complete the unfinished learning from fourth quarter of this year. Here are just a few of their suggestions. These recommendations have not been finalized for CMS, but they give you a glimpse into how we might adjust to best serve our students this fall. Thank you so much for watching my sneak peek of the 2020 curriculum guides. I am honored to share these amazing resources with you in support of student learning. I hope you have a great summer and we'll see you in the fall.